Macca's Guides.
Hey everyone, Macca here, and welcome to my collectibles guide for the Callisto Protocol. In this video, I'll show you all 43 of the collectibles on our way to grabbing the Grim Reaper achievement/trophy. I'll also show you a couple of achievements or trophies that you may easily miss during your playtime. Otherwise, everything else you'll unlock through natural progression of the game or through natural gameplay. A quick and important note before you get started, every single thing in this game is missable. The game has no chapter select and no new game plus. If you miss something, you can go back using a manual save or an auto save, but if you miss something and don't have a save for it, you'll have to replay the entire game and grab everything all over again. As soon as you gain control of your character, you can pause the game, go to photo mode, and take a photo in order to unlock your very first achievement or trophy. Additionally, there is a collectible here. All the collectibles in the game are known as a BIOS, and they are either unlocked by picking up recordings or interacting with people on the ground. Find your first collectible in the room on the left as you exit the cockpit. We can then move on and find the next collectible in Chapter 2, as Chapter 1's pretty short and mostly serves as a tutorial. You'll come through a vent and climb on down, and then here you'll be sneaking on through and hiding from a security bot. I've already let them kind of move on, and you'll be working your way through the left-hand side into intensive care, through that, and then you'll go through a door called the medical ward M105. Don't worry, you have to go here. You'll end up then in implant M110. And then you'll end up in the surgery room, again, a room you will have to be in. This game is extremely linear. In the corner, you can find Dr. Caitlyn Mahler's appointment. You'll then make some decent progress through Chapter 2 and end up back in the cell blocks. You'll get attacked by a bunch of enemies here, which I've taken care of conveniently, and you'll hop over the barricade. Don't go up the stairs. Instead, look to the right where you'll find Elias's cell. Go inside and you can find his collectible. You'll then end up taking an elevator and watching a cutscene. After that cutscene ends, you will walk into the room with the large table in the middle that has some holograms. Once you gain control of your character, walk up to that table and grab the collectible. I'll try to keep this video as spoiler-free as possible. We then move on to Chapter 3, where you'll come on through this vent. Again, don't worry, this game is extremely linear. You will visit all of the same places I do. After you come out, you may notice a security bot, and there will be a couple of enemies who attack you. I've taken care of them. If you run to the end of the room, there will be a locked door, but you will get a bit of a tutorial that tells you should go and find the guard's kind of key card. Run back to where we used the vent to find the guard on the ground next to the security robot. Interact with it, and this will be our first harvested collectible.
Use your shiv to dig out their implant.
Wait, what?
You don't have a choice. This place has a way of changing you.
Soon after, we will end up inside of the laundry room. Again, you may encounter some enemies here. You'll notice the laundry bags on the right-hand side. And at the end of the hall, you can go left or right. We're going to start off by getting a collectible to the right-hand side, as the left side is the main story path. We'll unlock the door and head on down. Again, keep an eye out for some enemies here. And if we just basically follow the path all the way to the end and visit the last room, you should be able to find Officer Pruitt Matos's collectible named Laundry inside of the office in the back, another one that will be harvested. Now, as a reference point, I'm back in the laundry room where we just came from, and instead of going to the right-hand side to an optional path, we're going to go to the left-hand side, which is the main story path. Here you can head on down the stairs, continue past the intersection, take a right-hand turn, and head inside of the workshop by using your shiv to cut open the box and gain access inside. Once inside, crouch into the vent on the right-hand side and go through this vent. If I'm not mistaken, this vent is about 30 seconds long. There's a lot of vents in this game, and I'm pretty sure they're just used to hide loading screens. Once you get to the end of the vent, you'll jump down, and then you basically just want to follow this path inside of these blue hallways. You'll start by doing a corkscrew kind of downwards and to the right. You'll then end up at a ledge where you have to jump down. After you jump down, you want to turn left. Here you'll notice a small crack that we can squeeze through. And then you'll enter in the first of 2 secret rooms. And here you'll find a collectible. Additionally, we'll unlock an achievement or trophy for finding both of the secret rooms in the game. After the secret room, we start back on the main story path. You'll end up going down these steps around the corner. Again, potentially watch out for some enemies here. And then around the corner from here, you'll go through a door that is called the Access Hall. Then you'll have a large door in front of you that you can pry open with a button press, and you'll be able to harvest a collectible from the body in front of you on the ground as you enter this medical lab. Along the main story path, you will use a fuse to get inside of this medical office. If you went into the door in front of you, you would have a reforge machine. But if you go to the door to the right, you'll end up in an access hall, and that access hall leads to maintenance C118. Here you will pry open a door along the main story path. And in front of you, as you open the door, you will see a couple of dudes just hanging out. And on the ground, you will find Officer Dachs Symmons, and they are holding a collectible if you harvest it.
You made it. I'll open up the maintenance elevator. That'll get you up here, yeah?
You will then try to take an elevator. However, that elevator will not necessarily work. You'll end up inside of a basement, and in front of you, there will be an open fuse slot. And our goal is to make it to the other side of the room. So you'll climb up on these ledges to the left and then drop down. You have to go here as a part of the main story path, and there will be enemies here. But as you round the corner, you may notice this large fan. And behind this fan, you may notice a chest. This chest does have some great loot items, but it also has a collectible right next to it, which is Officer Kerry Brown. If you were to continue, you would find a fuse, and then you could use that fuse to find a blueprint or continue along the main story path. You will then use this platform to go across a large gap. There will be a couple of enemies in the door that you can dispatch as you ride across, and you'll have to restore the power inside of the shoe room. But if you just head up onto the ledge on your left, you'll need to bring the fuses here to progress the story. But if you just want, you can grab the collectible by harvesting it before you get started with all that. You'll then be forced to watch this cutscene, as all cutscenes in this game are unskippable, one of my personal biggest pet peeves in a game. But after the cutscene, you should notice a somewhat obvious collectible inside of the prison cell with you. You can barely go anywhere in here, so it's hard to miss.
I thought you knew everything about this place.
Last but not least, in Chapter 3, I'm going to point out the Terminated achievement / trophy, which you could miss. The game does let you know to use ranged weapons to shoot the robot's head, but if you wanted to stealth through this, you could. There will be a ton of ammunition, but all you want to do is headshot it between 4 and 5 times, depending on the difficulty and any gun upgrades you may have, and this should take it down and unlock the Terminated achievement / trophy. Here's a really good place to get it so you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the game, but if you go up to the robot and stomp it, you can also pick up a power unit which you can sell for a ton of money. We're now on board on Chapter 4, and we'll climb through a vent to leave the sludge room as a part of the main story path. And as you drop down, you can go to the right, climb up a ladder and grab some loot, or you can go to the left, and the door in front of us is where we're supposed to go. Instead of going through that door, jump up on this box to our left, jump up on the little catwalk to the left even further, and find the Corruptors collectible. You'll then come through this kind of narrow, rocky tunnel into this large and open room. The lights may be off, and you'll have 2 fuses that you'll need to connect to the fuse boxes, as some enemies may be trying to stop you doing that. But once you use the fuses, it'll open the door to leave the area, and just next to that door, you can harvest the next collectible. We are now on our way through a door that we just put a fuse in on the way to water control, but we're going to take a little bit of an extra optional path to find this next collectible. Don't go into water control on that right-hand side door. Instead, continue past it, running down the hallway and finding the storage hall. Using your shiv to open up the box, cut the wire, and gain access into this room. Once inside this room, just keep following the hallway to the left. You can sprint using the left bumper, of course. Watch out for any enemies that may be here, and then go through the door at the end of the hall. As you enter, you may notice a fuse on your right-hand side, so we're going to grab it. Take this fuse just barely across the room to the other fuse box. This will open up a locked door near the middle of the room. There's a ton of loot in here, so make sure you grab the lockers on the right and the left, which I'm going to ignore for now. And as you approach the door in front of you, it will eventually unlock itself. Walk forward and look to the back right of the room to find cocoons. Loot everything else, and then you can return to the water control area. During the main story path, you'll come into a room that's called Utility F265, and here you'll be introduced into new enemy types which grow tentacles and can mutate. After you take out the mutated enemy, you can see the message "shoot the tentacle" on the wall in front of you, and there's an enemy here who has sacrificed themselves to teach you this lesson, and you can harvest them before moving on. Next up, we've made our way all the way to oxygen processing. As you enter, you may notice a reforge machine to your right-hand side, but we're going to go through the hallway on the left-hand side first, as this is an optional path not related to the main storyline. Watch out for enemies and just follow along this long hallway, taking a right-hand turn up the stairs at the end, taking another right-hand turn to find a small crack in the door that you can shimmy on through. You may get attacked by a parasite here, so just interact with the QTE and pick up the collectible. I've returned to the central room of oxygen processing, and now I'm going to go to the right-hand side towards the reforge machine. Keep in mind, this collectible is known to be very glitchy. Hopefully it will be patched, but make sure you make a manual save before picking it up and check that you have it unlocked. If you don't have it unlocked, reload the last checkpoint and try it again. As you make your way through these hallways, there will be a ton of health injectors you can grab, so grab those. You can always sell them if you don't need them for a decent amount of energy that you can then invest into your weapons. But just follow all of the hallways and eventually you'll get into this room with the crawler, and then the vent kind of explodes. You can crawl on up and then crawl through the vent. And once you crawl out of the vent on the other side, you should find the collectible for Sergeant Bill Pekelo. Again, this one is glitchy, so I'm going to take the extra time to pause the game and make a manual save just in case. And then after I pick it up, I'm going to actually open up the inventory, check that I have this one unlocked before moving on. So here we go. Pausing the game, saving the game, making a manual save. Then we're going to pick it up off the ground from underneath my feet after we got out of that vent. And then after we harvest it, it should also unlock like a key card and an access code that we need to continue with the game. But now if you use the D-pad to open up your arsenal, go to your data BIOS, and then here you can go to the habitat, and here you'll find Bill Pekelo. If he's not here, reload your save and try again. With the access code, we can now go from the oxygen processing into the utility room. As you enter as a part of your main story quest, go to the hall on the left-hand side. You may need to hack the box to make it open. Inside of here, watch out for, I think, 3 or 4 enemies, which can all attack you at once if you're not careful. At the very back of the room, where it says Tram Depot Entrance, here you can find a collectible on a crate. We start chapter 5 outside and in the snow, and here you'll open up a gate. Directly in front of you, to your right, you should notice a building that says C2. Ignore that building, even though that's where we're supposed to go. Go to the back of the area, you'll find 2 huts. Go to the left-hand side hut to find a bunch of loot, but also more importantly for this video, a collectible. Next up, you'll enter this big open area and all the doors will be locked, but a bunch of enemies will ambush you. I think it was something like 8 enemies, and as a part of that ambush, they will come through doors and then open those doors for you. From where we entered, we want to go to near the back right-hand side of the area. An enemy should burst open through the door. Once we take care of that enemy, at the end of the fight, you should be able to go inside and grab Richard SIDS. You will then enter the tunnels and climb under some debris. As you stand up, you may look to your right and left, and you can choose between 2 paths. We're going to go to the left-hand side here in order to find the Combustors collectible. We can then return to that hallway and go to the right-hand side to continue the main story. You will then meet up with Dani, and you will be given the riot gun through a cutscene, and then you will split up, and you'll regain control of your character. Once you do that, just run up the stairs in front of you. You'll have to breach the control room. At the end of the stairs, there's a door. Open that door and find the collectible sitting on the ground near the exit. A little bit later on in the mission, you'll use a computer to open up a security gate. Once that security gate is opened up, you can run across, and then you'll be able to mantle up and through this broken window into the now open security gate. To the right-hand side, you'll notice the prisoner transfer door. Go on through to reveal the power station, and here you'll want to interact with the collectible, which is this person wedged inside of a rotating generator. I don't know, you may need to actually do that in order to proceed the story. I'm not 100% sure. You will then meet up with Dani and you will visit a crash site. As you enter the crash site from this door right here, you can't miss this. Again, a very linear game. Go to the left-hand side, go through the door, and then go through the second door on your left. That is open, and in here you can find Max Borrow. You'll also unlock an achievement for main storyline progression. Not long after the previous collectible, you'll follow Dani outside, and then you'll go and shimmy on through this door to end up inside of this kind of warehouse. And to the right-hand side, you'll see a parked kind of vehicle, and then you can go up the back ramp inside of the vehicle to harvest another collectible. Last but not least, for Chapter 5, you'll follow Dani into the elevator room. They'll go and interact with the elevator to call it, and you'll have to wait like 30 seconds anyways for it to arrive. As you're waiting, you can explore the room and see everything there is to see. It's not a very big room, but on the opposite side from where we entered, you can find Dr. Caitlyn Mahler's Shipments collectible. We then start off with Chapter 6. You'll come to a room where you're hanging upside down, and once you let yourself free, you can walk forward and go around the corner and down the stairs into the next room. And in that next room, you can drop down into the middle and find Dr. Xian's Yoon's Field Log 1. You'll then crawl through a small hole that's kind of covered by debris and rocks and stuff, and a arm will try to grab you. That's just a part of the game. But once you get out of this hole, you'll be able to climb to the right and then to the left, and there's a collectible nearby that we don't want to miss. So after you climb out of this hole, you'll walk forward and go through the first door you see on the right side there. Down here, watch out for a bunch of enemies, and just proceed to the next door up the little staircase, take a left-hand turn, and here you'll find field log number 2. At this point, I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up as to an achievement or a trophy you could potentially miss, and it's for stabbing 5 blind enemies in the back. Here's a great place to grab it. Most of the enemies coming up will be blind. There's going to be like 40 opportunities to do this, but just stay crouched and sneak up behind enemies, and you should be given a prompt to do like a stealthy takedown. And if you do this 5 times, you'll grab the Giving Back achievement/trophy. This is one of the only places in the game during Chapter 6 where you can grab it. So just try to get it out of the way as easily as possible, and you can just remain stealthy for as much of the rest of the chapter as you can. You may also want to mop up some of the other achievements you might be missing, like getting environmental kills or fully upgrading a weapon. You will then use a key card to open up the door that says that the power station is ahead. After opening that door, just head forward and just follow the path pretty much directly in front of you. Eventually you'll reach a hallway. It's pretty long. If you run to the end of the hallway, you can harvest field log number 3. A little bit later on, we can find our second secret room. If you do this and you got secret room number 1, you're about to get an achievement or trophy for doing that. But you'll climb up this mandatory ladder as a part of the main storyline. The game wants you to go to the right-hand side to the power reactor. Instead, walk directly in front of you, and you'll be able to shimmy through this crack in the wall. I think you got to shimmy for something like 20 seconds. Then you'll want to just keep pushing forward through this kind of dark and tight hallway. You'll eventually have to crouch under some rocks, drop down a hole, find a little ramp that'll take you even deeper, and watch out for enemies at all of these points. Most of the enemies do show up at the end, and they're pretty strong, so you may want to have something like a shotgun ready, like the riot gun or the skunk gun. I found both of them pretty useful throughout the game. And as you come through these hallways, you'll squeak on through. I believe 2 enemies will spawn at the beginning and 1 enemy at the end. So watch out. They're going to basically just jump out of the walls. If you want to save ammo, you can by using your security baton, but I found it to be quite difficult as there's not a lot of room to move down here to get dodges going. Also, you may want to work on 5 perfect dodges to get that achievement or trophy out of the way. But at the end of the hallway, you'll notice that there's a secret room kind of in front of you, and all you need to do is go to the right-hand side, and there'll be a little tunnel that links into it. As you enter this room, you will unlock an achievement or trophy for finding both of the secret rooms. However, you still need to interact with the collectible in this room before you leave. As you enter the room, you may get attacked by the kind of snake enemy, so watch out for that. But make sure you pick up Yannick Sage Secret Room 2 collectible at the back of the room before you leave. This next one's almost impossible to miss. You'll end up on a platform. You'll have to ride that platform and kill some special enemies. After you kill that special enemy, you'll unlock a story-related achievement or trophy. But you'll walk forward and down the ramp to find a harvestable collectible in front of you. You can then interact with the door on your left and up those stairs to start Chapter 7. Right at the very beginning of Chapter 7, we can basically grab 2 collectibles, walk forward and turn to the left to find Alex Wang Minor Log 1 sitting on the ground, and you'll want to harvest it. Directly after that, turn to the right and go up this path, climb up onto the ledge, and then shimmy on through this wall. Once you come out the other side, you'll have to mantle up another ledge, then walk forward. You'll notice the tower in front of you. The game will force you to focus on it. After you're done focusing on it, enter the container to your left to find minor log number 2. You'll then end up in this kind of large open area, and it seems kind of complicated, but don't worry, it's literally impossible to get lost. You'll have to go up this ladder with all of the signs that point to Midtown. And once you climb to the top of this ladder, there may be some enemies, but there's also a collectible here. Turn to the right-hand side. by 90 degrees and then walk forward and you'll enter a door to your left. Once you enter that door, watch out for a potential enemy, but there is a collectible harvestable on the ground here. You'll then grab a key card, return to the area we were in order to access the terminal, which will then call you an elevator. You have to take this elevator as a part of the story, but as soon as you take the elevator, once you reach the top, there'll be an extremely obvious collectible in front of you as soon as you exit.
Dani? Where'd she go?
Not too long after taking the elevator, you may notice a sign that says Hightown. So that's where we're headed, up the stairs. You'll notice a kind of yellow container box in front of you. And here, if you walk forward and go to the first room on your right, you'll notice a harvestable collectible. From Hightown, you'll be forced to use a fuse to open up a locked door. You may also need a key card here, but as soon as you enter this room, you'll notice a reforge in front of you, but there's also a collectible on the ground just to the left. The last collectible in Chapter 7 can be found after a cutscene after what is basically a boss battle. After the cutscene, you'll take control of your character and you'll notice this in front of you. Instead of progressing through the mission to end it, make sure you grab Duncan Cole Disagreement on the right and then proceed. We then move on to Chapter 8, where we will be forced to use a fuse on a fuse box in order to open up a door and proceed further along the main story path. As you enter through that locked door, head forward, up the little staircase, and then to the left, and there will be a collectible at the very far end. As you pick it up, you'll probably get attacked by 2 enemies. We will then enter the psych block. We will then enter the psych block. We'll be required to get a fuse to open up a door. To get that fuse, we'll have to go down this hall and open up this vent using our grip. Once you open it up, go inside that vent and crawl on through for the next 15 to 20 seconds. As you exit, you will drop down. Watch out for the enemy on your left, as they will be invisible. And here you can grab a fuse on the ground, which will then open up the door on the way back, which you can use to proceed. But before you leave, make sure you go up the staircase, and halfway up, you can find another collectible. Now, your achievement or trophy may unlock a little bit early on this collectible, but stay till the end of the video. I might save you a full 12-hour playthrough with a little bit of a trick I'm going to share. But you'll work your way back through some of the medical facilities, and you'll end up in this mandatory hallway as a part of the story. As you come through, the red lasers will open up the door in front of you, and you can find the collectible on your right-hand side. A lot of people have been reporting that their achievement or trophy unlocks here. There is, however, one more collectible to grab, which is after you take an elevator with Dani, you'll open up the elevator door, go into the next room, you'll enter this kind of large dome-shaped room with Cole's Triumph sitting on the left-hand side of the room. Next up, I'm going to show you how you can get the maximum difficulty achievement without playing the game on maximum difficulty. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful. Share it with a friend. A special thank you to everyone on Patreon for supporting the show, and hopefully I see you soon. Peace.